Sono una donna, sono una madre, sono italiana, sono cristiana, non me lo toglierete!
Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves because the Iron Curtain of Brussels is cracking wide open from within.
Which was Italian at the beginning, so we are always ready to bring our proposals for peace, for dialogue. It's something we have to build together to guarantee peace and to defend the security of our nation.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, the unbreakable warrior of Rome, has just hurled a verbal grenade that's shaking Brussels to its core. She roared, "I'm done," not as a complaint, but as a declaration of war against Ursula von der Leyen and her elite fortress, accusing them of hijacking democracy, stealing sovereignty, and choking nations under mountains of red tape. This isn't politics anymore. This is a full-scale uprising rumbling through the heart of Europe.
Como italiana le pido disculpas por el doloroso comportamiento de Italia en el caso de la detención de Puigdemont en Cerdeña.
What if one woman's fury sparks the fire that topples a throne? Stay with me, because this story isn't just politics, it's an earthquake shaking Europe from its roots. To understand the thunder rolling from Palazzo Chigi to Brussels, you've got to rewind not to last week, but to the battlefield of Europe's soul. Giorgia Meloni didn't just wake up in 2025 and decide to burn her bridges with Ursula von der Leyen. This feud has been simmering since the moment Meloni stormed into power in 2022 with a promise to rip Italy back from the faceless technocrats of Brussels. Ursula, the iron-willed German power broker, rose to power in 2019 amid whispers of smoky backroom deals, her rise greased by Emmanuel Macron and a circle of centrist elites who wanted her as the guardian of their borderless European dream. But that dream started curdling the day Meloni showed up, the populist wildfire of Rome, the leader of Brothers of Italy, born from the ashes of Italy's darkest past, yet standing fiercely with NATO and Ukraine. She came in swinging, building walls against the migrant surge, cutting taxes for struggling families, and shouting Italy first so loud it made Brussels choke. Ursula saw her not as a partner, but a problem, a living reminder that the European Union's grand vision of unity is starting to crack beneath the weight of rising sovereignty. Fast forward to 2024 and boom, the rule of law report drops like a guillotine, slicing straight through the heart of Rome. The Commission flags Italy for press freedom violations and threats to judicial independence. And just wait for it, Meloni's media reforms labeled as a muzzle on the free press. That's when she snaps on live parliamentary floor. She roars, "This isn't a review, it's a colonial inspection. Who do these people think they are?" Her voice cuts through the chamber like a blade. Reports later claim Ursula von der Leyen herself approved the harshest language, a personal swipe at the woman who dared to abstain from her re-election vote that summer. Meloni's conservative ECR bloc withheld its support, leaving Ursula to cling to victory by a thread, her smile afterward cold as ice. But that wasn't the end, that was the spark. By early 2025, Europe's political map is shifting hard right. Meloni sees the opening. She starts positioning herself as the bridge or the bomb, getting cozy with Donald Trump's incoming team, hinting at new alliances that leave Brussels out in the cold. Ursula feels the ground shaking. She doubles down on her Green Deal, her migration pacts, her quotas, all of which dump the heaviest burden on Italy. And just like that, the powder keg is lit. Meloni's message in late October 2025 wasn't politics as usual, it was rebellion wrapped in a Senate speech. Her voice thundered through the marble halls, "I'm done with this charade," she declared, eyes blazing under the chandeliers. Von der Leyen's Europe isn't a union, it's a leash. Rome bows while Berlin tugs the strings. The chamber froze, then erupted. Cheers from the right, shock from the center left. Every word was deliberate, crafted fury designed to light a fire before looming budget wars and whispers of a no-confidence showdown in Strasbourg. But beneath the theater was something raw, democracy itself under siege. Meloni painted von der Leyen as an unelected ruler, a bureaucrat wielding powers that outstrip parliaments across the continent, vetoing recovery funds, rewriting fiscal rules, holding nations hostage with fine print and threats. Insiders claim she even dangled Italy's 200 billion euros in recovery cash over Meloni's head, warning her to obey migrant quotas or lose it all. Blackmail disguised as European values, one aide whispered off record. And that's where the battle burns hottest. Migration, the ghost that haunts every EU summit, the same crisis that turned Meloni from nationalist outsider to Italy's savior. Dawn breaks over the Mediterranean, another overloaded boat from war-torn Libya drifts toward Sicily. And with every wave, the fault lines in Europe grow deeper.
Las Europa de los patriotas. Y si estoy convencida.
Since 2014, Italy has taken in over 1 million arrivals, more than the rest of Europe combined. The strain tearing through hospitals, schools and communities like a silent earthquake. Meloni's answer: the Italy-Albania pact, a €600 million deal to process asylum claims offshore. Her supporters called it genius, her critics called it cruelty. From her air-conditioned fortress in Brussels, von der Leyen struck back, wielding the new migration and asylum pact passed in 2024, but turned into a weapon. By 2025, take your share of migrants or pay €20,000 for each one you refuse. For Italy, that's a €10 billion annual punishment. If they say no, this isn't solidarity, Meloni thundered. It's extortion. While Germany builds higher walls, leaks from Brussels showed von der Leyen's aides pressuring Rome, even tying compliance to trade perks in the Green Deal, threatening Italy's prized olive oil exports. The game runs deeper. Her allies claim this isn't about compassion, it's about demographics. An aging Europe desperate for young labor, and migrants are the fix. But at what cost? Riots in Milan last summer proved the fuse is lit. Anti-migrant protests clashing with pro-Palestinian marches, 47 injured. Chaos in the streets. Polls show 68% of Italians back Meloni's stance. Deportations up 40% under her rule. Yet Brussels threatens sanctions, branding her policies inhumane. It's a battle of worlds. Meloni's fortress Europe against von der Leyen's open door empire. And as another 150,000 migrants land on Italian shores in 2025, the pressure cooker of Europe rattles harder, ready to blow. This isn't some random skirmish, it's the symptom of a union spiraling out of control. Von der Leyen's defenders, led by Macron's Renaissance crowd, paint her as the wall holding back chaos, pointing to her vaccine rollout during COVID as proof of genius. But Meloni's camp sees the pattern: the 2020 pandemic treaty that bypassed parliaments, the 2023 fiscal overhaul that shackled southern states in austerity. This isn't unity, they argue, it's empire building without consent. Meloni put it bluntly: she's turning Europe into a realm of prefects where national leaders kneel to an unelected queen. And the stakes couldn't be higher. If Italy folds, fine. But if Meloni stands, she lights a fire for every rebel in Europe. And if these migrant quotas and leak threats already have your blood boiling like a Roman uprising, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop your thoughts below, because this storm is only heating up. What's the one EU policy you'd torch if you were Meloni? Let's hear it. Now let's follow the money, the quiet weapon von der Leyen wields with precision. Italy's €191.5 billion recovery package, the supposed lifeline after COVID, has turned into a leash. Each milestone another shackle. Green mandates, digital reforms, all filtered through Brussels bureaucrats who tossed out 17 of Italy's plans in 2024 alone. Meloni's accusation is sharp: von der Leyen withholds our own money to force obedience. It's not aid, it's extortion. A 2025 audit from the European Court of Auditors exposed €15 billion quietly funneled into pet projects like von der Leyen's hydrogen hubs in Germany, while Italy's south starves. And to really understand the chokehold, you have to trace it back to 1992, the Maastricht Treaty, the devil's deal that locked Europe into deficit caps and handed Brussels the keys to every nation's wallet. Von der's 2024 reform looks softer, but hit sharp fangs: surveillance committees with veto power aimed straight at debt-ridden Italy, drowning under 140% GDP. Meloni struck back in her 2025 budget, adding a sovereignty clause freeing defense spending from Brussels' grip, a bold salute to Trump-era alliances. Whispers in Rome say von der Leyen retaliated, freezing €10 billion in cohesion funds over so-called governance risks. Insiders leaked that at the G7 in June 2025, Meloni warned her: treat us like partners or watch the dominoes fall on the ground. Factories in Turin shut down, families in Naples lined up at food banks, yet her approval soared. The people saw a fighter, a David slinging stones at the Brussels Goliath. Beneath the surface, the plot thickens. Whispers of von der Leyen's ties to big pharma, Pfizer seats, and tech giants paint a picture of a corporate EU where sovereignty is collateral. Meloni's calling it the emperor's new clothes, and Europe is starting to believe her. Her defiance lit the nationalist fuse across the continent. Orban tweeted sovereignty over subjugation. Le Pen vowed a French uprising if Macron bends. Wilders, fresh off a win, threatened to block the 2026 EU budget unless the migrant quotas die. The rebellion has begun, and the empire is trembling. It's a shadow alliance rising from the cracks. Patriots for Europe, now 84 MEPs strong, moving like ghosts through encrypted chats, plotting their grand Venice Declaration summit for 2026, a direct demand to rewrite the EU's sacred treaties. Von der Leyen's worst nightmare, a veto-proof rebel bloc. Already their abstentions torpedoed her AI Act amendments in September 2025. And the message was clear: the empire is cracking beneath her. Meloni, meanwhile, plays her game of 4D chess, polishing her respectable right-wing image with whispers of a future Commission vice presidency, a delicious irony for someone who's spent years hurling daggers at Brussels. But as unity fractures, the euro trembles, markets twitch, and leaks from Warsaw reveal contingency plans, backdoor pacts with the UK and the US designed to bypass Brussels completely. The populist storm is here, and it's only growing as winter 2025 grips Europe. A no-confidence motion stalks von der Leyen, this time launched by the far left but fueled by ECR whispers, with Meloni's fiery message as the spark. If it passes, chaos erupts. If it fails, the chill remains. The damage is done, and Brussels knows it. The rebellion has momentum, and the clock is ticking. Poland's Tusk wavers, Spain's Sanchez panics, and suddenly Europe feels like it's standing on a fault line. This is the moment where the federal dream could shatter into a confederate awakening, nations clawing back their crowns as the empire trembles. On one side stands Ursula von der Leyen, the Iron Empress, gripping her vision of a united geopolitical Europe. On the other, Giorgia Meloni, the fiery populist prophet, slicing through bureaucracy with the blade of defiance. The fallout is already rippling. Borders hardening, funds fracturing, the EU wobbling under the weight of Trump's tariffs and China's looming power. If you're feeling that tension building, wondering if Meloni's spark becomes a full-blown inferno, stay locked and hit that bell and subscribe, because this isn't just politics, it's a live wire thriller. And your front row seat to history in the making. Comment your call. Where does the EU finally break, and who walks away with the crown?